Woo!
And it looks like we are live.
Hello.
Welcome to being a business owner
Ah,
and trying to juggle
Friday.
like 14 different gremlins. Welcome, everyone, to It's Time to Excel, where we inspire and we ignite the possibilities, even when things don't go the way we're supposed to.
Yeah, I'm still going, right now, everybody. It's been a morning.
And it has been crazy because it took us, what, a good 5 or 6, 7, 8 minutes just to try to get StreamYard to cooperate.
Yes, it's been a
We keep
morning. Like I
logging
said,
in and
it's
we
a,
were all black. Like everything was black. There was no color, there was no people, there was no
Right.
nothing.
Yeah.
Black screen. It's like, all right, come on, people. But isn't that so common though with business
Mhm.
that you know what? You just have to be a problem solver. So what do? We both shut down, relog back in until we got the right combination of buttons to make this thing put the cameras back on.
Exactly.
But that happens so often. So, LaShon, I am so grateful. I am so honored and blessed to have been able to get working with you together at the college and going the course together, and we've just been able to get a connection and a friendship going, which I'm so looking forward to being able to continue that and to work together. But share with my audience kind of who you are, because you haven't met my group over here, which may be
It's great. It's great meeting you. And yes, we worked so well together and learned so much from each other. So I'm LaShon Harley. I've been involved with business counseling, advising, consulting, training, teaching, presenting, speaking for over 20 years. In fact, after grad school, that's how I got started. I've been involved with co-ownership uh, of entrepreneurism. I've been involved with joint ventures, so I know the good, bad, ugly, and great of that. And now I've come back into full entrepreneurship. I used to be the Small Business Center Director at Durham Tech up until this past December. So I'm still on a lot of initiatives, and I am relaunching my business and websites because I'm going full time. And I've revamped myself, especially during COVID. So I've changed what I'm going to focus on. So hopefully my websites will go live this week.
awesome. That is so exciting. It's all coming together. It's all coming. Congratulations. That's a lot of fun. As I said, I've learned so much from you and just being able to connect and go. And we kind of picked this topic because we were kind of chatting back and forth, and we're like, you're going to pay now, you're going to pay later, but you are going to pay somehow, some way.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was just a great way to kind of explain, because you've had so much of a vast knowledge in what you have done, what you have seen, what you have helped other entrepreneurs, especially, to be able to overcome and work through. But let's go ahead and share a little bit kind of what your thoughts were behind this, because I loved when you said that. I'm like, we're using that as the title.
Yes. So this actually started from a friend of mine named Katie Lawson. Used to do several presentations for Biz to Boots for the SBA and veterans, and she
Okay.
came up with BAIL. So that was the acronym she came up with, which is how we all got started thinking about this topic. So BAIL stands for bankers, accountants, insurance, and lawyers. So
Huh.
that's the first layer of this. This is the foundation of where it got started. So
Okay.
the idea was, if you don't go to these people before you need them or before you do things in your business, you're going to pay them later. And it's going to cost a whole lot more on the back end than it is on the front end. So that's how we got started with BAIL. So, go to your banker before you need to get money. Find out what you need and where you need to be. Go get your accountant now before you start putting anything in place, because every accountant uses different processes as well as different software. So you might buy QuickBooks because it's the number one software for businesses, but
And that's okay.
right. And the thing is your account might be using something else. They might be using still Peachtree.
Exactly.
So people go like Peachtree. I said, see, you're not an accountant. So
Exactly.
you don't know anything about that. So as well as how to set it up.
That's
the thing
key.
called GAAP, which Janet knows very well, Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. And that can be different for each of the persons. How they use it, how they set it up is correct, but everybody has it differently. And I tell people, for every hour it takes for you to set it up, it takes them 3 to 5 hours to undo it. And sometimes
That's absolutely true.
from scratch. So you're going to pay them on that. Then you have insurance. What insurances you need. How do you protect yourself? You can't wait till the damage is done to get insurance. It has to be in effect. So what's there? Also, some of your contracts now are asking you to have insurance.
Oh, that's true.
So if you don't have insurance, you got to wait to get that. That might be a missed opportunity. And then the last one is lawyers. What are the legal things you need to be thinking about for your business, for your industry, things of that nature to protect yourself. What do the contracts say? What don't they say? So things of that nature. And I see my hair is slowly rising up here.
See, the gremlins are just like, they're having a wonderful time.
So, we do a little time, y'all. So,
I think they've moved into your house.
Yeah, so pay now, pay later. My hair should exactly. Pay now, since you didn't do that a little earlier. And me put my hands in my hair just made it worse.
There you go.
So that's the beginning of what we were talking about with bail. But there are other areas that people need to worry about that they pay now, pay later, even from the point of starting or expanding their businesses, which is something that we all talked about in the class, in the 3 cohorts that we did. Because just for you all to know, we did 3 different groups in 8 weeks for each group at different stages. And one of the things is you're going to pay now, pay later if you don't listen to your customers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So first of all, pay now. Take the time to talk to them. People don't want to talk to who their potential customers are. They'll talk to anybody, but everybody's not your customer.
Very true.
So you're either going to pay now by taking the time to get that information, or you're going to pay later, where you're doing all this stuff, putting all these things in place, and your real customers like, we didn't want that. Or why didn't you do that? But you've exhausted all your resources. You can't give them what they really want and what they really need. So, that's one area that when starting and growing a business, people don't listen to their customers. And I always say your business is not about you, it's about the customers.
And that was one of the mantra going through that whole course that we were talking about. You've got to find out what your customers want. What do they want? Not necessarily what they need, because they may not know what they need. Exactly. And they don't know what they need.
Yes.
But what do they want? And so that you can get in the door to get them what they need. And I think that's the biggest distinction. And folks, I think, especially in the small business world, like we get running, we know what they need. They just don't know what they need. And they don't want to even listen to us until you figure out what they want. Because if you can get in the door that way, it makes all the difference. It really, really does.
And life is easier. Because,
yes.
I've had clients that said, well, I'm going to do a business of this. And I said, go talk to your customers. I remember one guy was doing things for dentists. And he was like, nobody is doing all these things. When he went to them, he was like, I keep hearing this one problem. That's a simple fix. I was like, well, why don't you do your business on the simple fix? He said, that won't cost me anything. I said, and this other stuff, you would have to make a manufacturing plan. And he went and started his business off that. Pay now, pay later. Pay now, he would have done the manufacturing plan. But his folks were looking for something simpler that he didn't even have to spend the money.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's just when you start thinking about it, that's what kind of sit back and kind of pondering. I think so often we roll into that issue. See, Winston's in agreement with that. He wants somebody to play now. Because in his mind, he's an equal opportunist when it comes to playing. He doesn't care who he can shove something at to get them to play.
But he's a good example of customers, though. Seriously,
yes.
Your customers want what they need right then, right now, exactly. Not what you just want to give them. So the thing about it is that he segued into a very good point here of letting people actually in real time see what happens with their businesses. Yeah. When you're talking about your customers, they got a pain right now they need you to solve. Solve that pain right now. Don't tell them what you can do for them in the future. They need you for the now. And like I said, he gave it well because he gave the acoustics, the audio, what we needed. That's how your customers are feeling like, oh, help. And this is what they're feeling on the inside, even though their faces are not saying it. This is what they're feeling on the inside.
That's what you're going to get to.
So he's actually giving us the good sound effects so people can relate to what's happening with them. We didn't plan that, but it actually works perfectly because he's giving you that pay now, pay later. Because I tell you that pay later, you're going to be whining just like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You're like, I need help. Somebody give me attention. And sometimes we go like, yeah, we wish we could help you, but you're in a predicament. We can't address that right now.
Yeah, and you don't want to wait until the IRS is knocking on your door with the audits and stuff to figure out you don't have accounting in place.
How often
have you seen that?
A lot. especially when it came to employees withholdings. I know several businesses, including nonprofits, that are not around today because they
Yes.
owed money. The fact that people put everybody as a 1099 contractor and they don't realize the Department of Labor law says if you do
Right.
these things, there's still a W 2. We don't care what you call it on the books. And then, oh, yeah, by the way, they were a W 2. Now you owe this amount of money for them.
For all the
And
taxes.
and the IRS is nice. The state is not. The
Mm-mm.
IRS will put you on a long payment plan, long as you pay. State goes, I'm giving you
Don't
6
care.
months. 6 months. And I know people who went out of business because they didn't know the Department of Labor laws. You know, they didn't go to find out what it is for employees. So I had someone who had folks who needed a special license for the job that they offered them.
Oh,
They went
wow.
to training. And so the Department of Labor came for another complaint. Somebody was saying that they didn't get they did a vindictive complaint against the company.
Okay.
So they were like, nope, they're not guilty of that. But when they got in there, they could look at everything. What happened was their employees were going on training to get recertified on the week.
Okay.
Guess what? The Department of Labor said that's time, company time. And then we were like, and because she called me in to sit with her and the assistant director at that time, I'm like, wait a minute. They were like, they need that certification for this job. So therefore, even though it's a portable certification that goes with them and they can be working with multi-companies, which they were, once they passed 40 hours with you, that was considered time and a half time.
Oh.
So they and the Department of Labor has no statute of limitation. See, people don't realize that. There's no statute of limitation.
I forgot about that.
On everybody that ever worked for them that went to their trainings either on an evening or weekend, and they had to go back and pay every single one of them time and a half. And these were not people that were still their employees. This was anybody who had been an employee. $45,000 put them out of business.
Oh my word.
Pay now,
Pay
later. Pay now, pay later.
Pay later. And I always tell people, like, if I have to come in and clean up QuickBooks, we kind of mentioned that, like, it's going to be a lot worse. Why can't we set it up right the first time around?
Exactly.
And then we all are less stressed because now I got to figure out what you did to undo it to do it right.
And then
3 to 4 hours.
Exactly. And with not only that, you have to go, what they don't realize when they type something in one place, you have to go several different places
to undo
what they did.
Yep.
So that's the piece they don't understand, the 3 to 5 hours. Plus, you trying to get in their head now. Why did they call this?
Well, we just had a prime example, like going through, like, and it took me a few minutes to catch on what the thought process was. But in QuickBooks, part of the system works. These transactions are downloaded from the bank. Well, some of them, because we're having a conversation that we're going to split off business and personal. You knew where that was going.
Yeah.
So, but she still had a couple of remnants from the beginning of the year that were personal, that were on this card, which, we're working through. Well, she just excluded them. So in the system, she said, just exclude them because they were personal. They weren't part of the business. So in that made sense. Right. The problem is if you try to reconcile something that's excluded, guess what's missing?
They excluded.
Bingo. So I'm like, how in the heck do we not have, like, how can most of them are coming in. Where were they? It took me a while to find them. So I had to go dig and find it. And then I'm like, oh, then I kind of called. I'm like, is there a reason you did this? She's like, well, yeah, they're personal. I'm like, let's talk a terminology and system.
Yeah, exactly.
The system doesn't speak your language, so we can help you speak its language.
Exactly.
But it made sense when she said it. I'm like,
it does.
Okay, I get it.
It does.
It's not going to work, but I get it.
Well, you mean the system can't exclude it? It did tuck it away to the side and put it
exactly. Yeah, it sure did right off that thing. Can't recon anything. I'm like, I'm out this big number. I'm like, what? How am I out this much money? I'm like, the payment's not even here. This doesn't make sense. So I had to backtrack it to find it. But that's when you don't know what you don't know. And that's what it boils down to. You don't know what you don't know.
Just like credit and debit.
Mhm.
Credit and debit in the world of accounting is different than credit and debit that we use as lay people. What we
Totally
call a credit is
backwards.
actually a debit. What we call a debit is actually a credit. Because I used to tell the students, because I also taught business administration, that's why I said teacher. And I used to say to my students when I was advising them on their classes, and I said, accounting, throw everything you know about accounting out the window.
Out the door.
And they were like, that was the one of the best pieces of advice I get, because what we call credit is actually a debit. What we call debit is actually a credit.
Yep.
And them understanding that is just so hard. And then also the categories.
Oh
How
yeah,
to
that's a big one.
categorize things, you know. And then the other piece that people don't understand is the accounting and finance are not the same. And I have people
Let's
who
talk a
fuss
little
with
more
me.
about that because that's absolutely true, and people don't realize that.
So I tell people, first of all, if they were the same thing, why are they two different majors in college? Let's start with that rationale. Okay. So I just start there, and then people go, oh, yeah, they are.
They
So
are.
I talk to people, and the way I do it in layman terms to be the quick and dirty is accounting looks at what you've already done, and it's actually putting it in a format that you can see what you've already done so you can make decisions on and know where you are and where you're going in the future. Finance says, well, let's look at the history of how we did what we did in the past, but we got to look at where we're going in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to look at the past history gives us some information to determine what we need to do now for the future.
Exactly.
So they're looking at the same documents, but they're looking at them from different perspectives. Now that doesn't mean an accountant or bookkeeper can't give you some advice for the future.
No.
But they're not looking at, okay, what's the burn rate? How can we leverage this money? And which of these funding sources do we want to go after? And how much we want to put to the side? And where do we want to put it so that we're building up on the numbers and then we can know where it can go into? And the finance person looks at the accounting and I mean, I do it myself. I'm a generalist in all those areas as a counselor. I can help you do a budget. I can help you to go back and we can do a quick and dirty balance sheet, profit loss statement, things. But that reconciliation, if I don't have the journal entries and I've not done those things, I can't go back and I can't make sure the ledgers are right.
No.
You know, ledger, some people are going like, what's a ledger?
Most people are like, what do you mean ledger? What is that?
Exactly.
When you talk green bar, you really can throw them off. That's dating me.
Exactly. You all understand, and even though I can go look at it, it's quicker for an accounting and bookkeeping person to understand how to do that depreciation, how to do that. Lord, I just lost my A word. Depreciation, and what's the other word?
I think I know. It'll come back.
Yeah, it begins with an A. But in looking at those numbers and what you can and cannot do, then on top of that, what does the IRS and the state government allow you to do?
Exactly.
Things may make a whole lot of sense, but you know what? How long ago did you read that thing off of the internet? Oh, that was from 2019. Well, the IRS changed it in 2021. So that was right
again in 2022.
But it's not correct in 2021. And we're in 2022, even worse. So, it's about knowing that, and every state is different.
That's the hard part, is it really is. And there's so many rules and regs. And that's why I think it kind of segues into pay now or pay later. But at the same time, surround yourself with the experts, because you can't keep up with it all. I don't do taxes. I don't pretend to do taxes. I'm not going to start doing taxes. But I can speak to the tax preparer and make sure that they're getting the reports that they want. But I don't know what all these tax laws, because every single person's so different. And I honestly can't keep. This is why I pay a tax accountant to take care of my stuff, because I don't want to keep up on all the laws. It's it's too much. I'll be in Winston's case and I'll be crying with him.
Exactly. And I'm so glad you said that, because everybody also thinks accountants are the same. So when we say in accounting, there are bookkeepers, there are accountants, and there are CPAs.
Exactly.
Three different things, y'all. Three. So you got the bookkeepers that helps to put the information together, and some of them are just as smart as the accountant and CPAs. I'm not taking that away, but they like the fact of helping keeping your books in order. Part of that record keeping, helping to keep things in order in a timely manner that is put in. Accountants, some of them will do that. And people who are accountants are people who haven't passed the exam. Some of them will call themselves accountants. They haven't taken the CPA exam. But they do the accounting. Yeah. So they're above a bookkeeper, and they can help you with the accounting, but they haven't gotten certified as an accountant. Then you have the certified accountants that are regulated by a board. They
Exactly.
are required to keep up with everything that's going on in the industry. They're at a much higher level. Then you have the tax folks, and this is from lawyers as well as accountants.
Sure.
These people, they're on so many boards and things that keeping up everything the IRS is doing, and as well as the ramifications. So we may see a news story about something, because I have a tax lawyer friend. That's Katie, the one I told you all about.
Oh, yeah.
And I call her up and I'd be like, I just saw this. She goes, yeah. And we were talking in our listserv group, and we're like, okay, then what about this, and that? I didn't even think about it. Why? Because I don't handle those tax issues.
Exactly.
And people don't realize, just because someone is your bookkeeper, just because someone's your accountant and your CPA and your tax lawyer, they all work different ways. And, oh, I got to throw this one in. I just remembered, because we just finished. Your tax preparer is not your bookkeeper, your accountant.
Thank you.
Your tax lawyer. They're just preparing your taxes. And most of them use a software program, contrary to popular belief. They're not sitting there reading the code. They bought a software program and they're typing everybody's information in. There are people who use TurboTax.
You give them.
And that's all they're doing. Many of them cannot give you tax strategies, or they're not like, well, why did you do this? And then they go like, oh, even though you told us that, we need to change this. So you got to go back and change your financials to match this, because this is not, you didn't report this properly. Yep.
That's very true.
I had to throw them in there because we just finished off of taxes. I mean, I prepare taxes. I use TurboTax. I can call myself a tax preparer. And I've helped people use my family and stuff. They sit there and do it. That's tax preparer. Now I'm not their tax preparer, because I'm like, okay, I'm giving you the computer. If you ask a question, we're going to use this. And not me telling you, we're going to use the help. So
exactly.
Because this is recorded in case someone said, oh, she prepares taxes. No. I will get you.
Me either. No taxes.
Exactly.
I partner with folks that do.
Even if it's TurboTax.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just had somebody call and ask me about this. I'm like, the best I can do is this is what we understand, but you really need to have for your specific tax, because everybody's different. I mean, exactly. Especially if you're an LLC sole proprietor and you're filing a joint return, that's your personal return that's all intermingled, and you've got to figure all that mess out. And it's like, and I know, like in our case, because my husband's working in a different state, is based out of a different state, they don't withhold either state. It's great, So I have to take care of that, So there's all this extra stuff, and I'm like, no.
And I just experienced that with 2 states. This is my first year, because I was in North Carolina and I live in South Carolina.
That's right.
So I had to do 3 tax returns this year: federal,
oh goody,
South Carolina, and North Carolina.
Okay, I only had 2. You beat me.
Yeah. So but I used the TurboTax, and that actually worked well for me. I've been using TurboTax for 20 years, and I'm not endorsing. I'm just saying what worked for my mother and I. And it was a beautiful thing, because when I did my South Carolina taxes, my eyes went like this. I was going to sign Wednesday. I was about to cry.
Mm-hmm.
When I did the North Carolina taxes, and TurboTax automatically brought it into for the South Carolina, I got my credit.
Gotcha.
It became 15%. I owed South Carolina what was up there. Yeah, that was an 85% drop. I was like, whoo, okay, I can live with that.
We're not going to have a heart attack now.
Yeah. But it's so much people, even, I know we're getting short of time. I just want to say a few other things people need to think about, pay now, pay later. Like I said, I've been a co-owner and I've been in joint ventures. Pay now, pay later. Find out whether or not you all should be co-owners. Sometimes you need to be joint ventures, which means you all separately create your businesses, and then you come together for a specific endeavor. It could be under one person's name, and then you come in to be subcontracted to provide capacity, or you all put in separately for aspects of it, because you could be great people, but I can tell you right now, the folks who I went to co-ownership with, we all don't even communicate anymore. It's not that we hate each other, but we don't even communicate. We used to talk all the time before we went in business. Joint venture, same thing. Found the person lied. In fact, there were a whole slew of us in a suite when we all expanded. And a couple of people were there. That was their initial. We didn't know he wasn't paying the rent
Ah,
until the landlord came to say he was going to lock the doors tomorrow.
oh my goodness.
And one of the other businesses that was in there said, called me, and she was frantic. And I have been looking at expanding our offices. And I was co-owner. This was a co-ownership. That I talked to a friend, and I said, "Can we move all the businesses in there?" She said, "Yes, that's fine." So we moved 4 businesses in a 2-room office. And I had to call the person back and say, "Can you ask him to give us 48 hours to move our
Wow.
stuff out?" And he said, "Fine." We moved our 4 businesses out of there into this 2 space. And actually, it was 2 of us out of the firms. The other ones couldn't come. And we got 2 people to help us. And we moved all of our stuff out in one night.
Wow.
The same thing happened to another gentleman. He called because I've been referring people to this lawyer, and he
Mhm.
said, "We just found out the person that we all been under has not paid any of the bills." So they ran into the problem, even their telephone numbers. So you all may have the same ideas, and we did. We had similar values, but we were
Mhm.
not going in the same directions in the same way. So that caused some differences. So you want to do that pay now or pay later. That is going to happen. Getting mentors, getting
Yeah.
advisors, getting counselors, get
Huge.
them now. You don't want them to come in to help you do damage control.
No.
And also be careful who you're getting and coaches. I went and got some folks to be my mentors and coaches. They were not good because when I asked them about some things to do, they forgot to tell me some tiny things to do. But they were important tiny things to do.
Uh-oh.
And I ended up, they're like, "Oh, we thought you knew that. Remember you said, Janet, you don't know what you don't know?" I'm like,
Yep.
if I'm coming at you all and I'm just
I
getting in
don't
this
know what
game,
I don't know.
I don't know. They said, "Oh, we thought you knew that part of it." So now I was in damage
No.
control mode. But so everybody who you call a mentor and coach and counselor, make sure they know your industry and make sure you say to them, speak to me as though I'm an 8th grader. Even
Yep.
though I'm in this industry, it's about
Doesn't
to
matter.
explain more. It's not about talking down, it's about explaining.
No, it's about understanding the language.
Mhm.
I mean, just like that excluded, the example we gave earlier, she was excluding it because it wasn't a business expense. That actually makes sense. It's being excluded.
So,
It's
come
that
to
simple
Janet
thing.
come to Janet now. Ask her questions. Ask her about accounting systems. Like I'll just give 2 very quickly, and I'm not pushing them. I was looking at the QuickBooks and the FreshBooks because
Yeah.
people taught me about FreshBooks. FreshBooks is, yes, I provide counseling services, but I plan to have digital products and other products. FreshBooks
Mhm.
is not going to be good for me.
Nope.
QuickBooks is going to be better for me because it does an inventory system. But am I
Mhm.
going to go with QuickBooks? No, I'm going to see other inventory systems, and I'm going to talk to Janet too. Uh,
Well, yeah,
uh,
what's the best for you? It's the one you're gonna
exactly,
use.
exactly. So now, what if I had gone to FreshBooks? No, Wave. Everybody raves about Wave, but I just finished going through 3 in the last year about cybersecurity. And the
Uh-huh.
last one I went into this recently said the way ransomware gets into your system as well as the big systems is people use free software. He said ransom, and I just heard this you all, so y'all getting this fresh 2 weeks ago. He
Oh
talked
my
about it at the
goodness.
beginning of March, so I'm giving this fresh out the way. They
Ooh.
said what they do is, and they said what the ransomwares do is they're not necessarily coming in just for yours and your businesses. If you work with other businesses in the big
Mhm.
business, you're their doorway, you're the gate for them to get into the big businesses.
Oh my goodness.
So that has now squashed everything that was free because a lot of people were telling me wave, and they loved it. And I had to tell a friend of mine, and she uses it. I had to say, I'm not going to use that. This cybersecurity guy was saying how the people in the audience were like, yes, anything free. The ransomwares know how to get that information and they put it on the black market.
Wow. So
Pay
there's a
now,
merit
pay
to
later.
paying now.
And I couldn't leave. I couldn't end with a better thing about the fact all the stuff that's free. Say, well, I'm using it because it's free. Now this is different than a free trial of something. We're
Yeah,
talking
that's
about
completely
software
different.
free. But understand those folks who are criminals know that you're using it, and they know how to send out
Sneak in
signals
there.
to get into everybody's computer. Unless you've got blockage, and everybody doesn't have blockage, because once you go into that software, just like Zoom, once we use Zoom, somebody can bomb the Zoom session because they figured out the coding. You don't know the coding, they do.
Yeah.
And ransomware actually sits in your computer 6 months to a year before
Wow.
they take a ransom. And let me put this, my last bit. Your insurance policies do not cover cyber security. That's a separate insurance policy.
Oh my goodness. That's a great point. I hadn't thought about that, but it doesn't.
It does not cover. It's covered. So you get ransomware and it gets your client's information. That's not negligence. That's not errors and omissions. And they specifically have in the policy, it does not cover cybersecurity. And even cybersecurity insurances, so if you don't have certain things in place, doesn't cover it. And if you're using the same network that your family is using, your kids and stuff may be downloading stuff that's open, that's a Trojan horse that's open, and they're through all of everybody's computers at your home. This is another reason why companies are sending people back to the office so they can have a tighter rein on what access
On
the
the
ransomware
security.
folks have had, because you wouldn't know that they've committed ransomware. Only your IT department in the higher levels.
Wow. It's terrifying. All we're doing is trying to do our job and do a service, and we have to be constantly looking out for those that are trying to do something wrong.
But that's their business.
It is their business. That's the problem. It's their business.
Some of the most organized and your best entrepreneurs and business owners are those involved with illegal activities, criminal mind. And if they're going to do one criminal act, they're doing
They're doing
there's
it all.
something that they're not going to look at doing. And that's the thing that we go like, I said to two people, the way you protect yourself from criminals, you say, I wouldn't do what criminals would do. And they said, well, I said, you got to think like a criminal. Oh, I can't think like a criminal. I said, let me tell you what, whatever you wouldn't do, they would do.
They will. Mm-hmm. End of story.
Pretty much.
End of
So
story.
I was floored when I heard that. But again, I'm connecting dots for you all actually from his presentation to several other things that I know and present, because I'm a techie also. But yes, you've got to be careful with what's coming into your house, what your kids are downloading, using that network. And the fact of the matter, ransomware doesn't let you know immediately. Ransomware,
man.
6 months, because they figure out every place that you have access to. So they sit there and meticulously follow. Oh, they got access into. Oh, they got a contract with Google. Ooh. They got a contract with the state government. Ooh, they got a contract with local government. Ooh, they got a contract with Mary Murray Mora PLLC, the great big XYZ global company. You're the gate that can get them into those companies' information. So they come through you and go into those other people.
That is so crazy. It is truly terrifying. And you try to be so cognizant as best you can, but back to, you don't know what you don't know.
And if you don't want to pay now, I can't afford the firewall. Pay now, pay later.
Pay later.
Especially if you do it, and the websites. Are you getting the SSL encryption? Well, that costs money. Pay now, pay later.
Pay now, yeah.
I'm using this company for hosting my website, but you're taking people's personal information about their cards, and you're not making sure it's encrypted. Pay now, pay later. You're using a lot of stuff with WhatsApp and things. Pay now, pay later. Some people have had Cash App. It's not been a problem. Some people have had Cash App and it's been hacked. Pay now, pay later. You only use one checking account for all your bills and everything. Pay now, pay later. No, you need to have not even just the commingling, but there are companies that have everything that's connected with cards coming in. That's one account, and they transfer their operations to another account. So if somebody hacks in, they only get the access to the money that was put in at that time.
That's not bad. Yeah.
Take the taxes out your account. I mean, that's how companies make a savings account. So then when you have to pay all the taxes, withholding taxes, employee
Mhm.
taxes, any taxes, you don't look at your account and say, "Ooh, I got all this money." No, you
No,
don't.
that's already spent. That's
So
yeah.
yeah,
I have. I always encourage them to have at least two accounts. We start. We got to
exactly.
start small because a lot of them they can't. I get that. So we start small. So we kind of do a blend. But then as you start growing, we want a tax account. We want a say like a profit account. We want your paycheck account. I mean, initially, just get a separate account. We'll start there.
And the thing about it is that you can do a savings account. Usually
Yeah,
that doesn't have a fee, and you're only taking it out when the money is due.
right. And they don't mind. You can put as much money in there as you want. They will restrict you on how much you can take out, though.
But and the other thing is that that's also when we looked at several people I know put that in credit union accounts. So they've got like certain things to go in their credit union account, which has a lower. Some of them have a lower
Okay.
uh, monthly fee versus
Mhm.
the regular checking account that you do at a bank, and some credit unions, because some credit unions are double figures also. But you play around. But then the thing about it, a lot of people don't pay attention to, because I didn't pay attention to it as much because of how my money, my cash flow was going. Is just make sure you keep $500 in the account.
Yep.
If you keep 500, you don't pay a fee.
Bingo.
So strategize. When we said strategically, what Janet would say, well, you're paying a lot of fees for your things. Did you know that you can do it? Janet will tell
Mhm.
you that. So
Exactly.
those are the kind of things that you do. You just say, okay, 500, because I just thought to myself, I've got to switch money. I got money in a savings account.
Mhm.
I'm having to pay for my personal account now because I don't get direct deposits.
Yep.
And I'm like, why am I keeping the money in a savings account? Let me just go here, because the amount I'm paying per month
That
is
makes sense.
more than I'll be paying in the interest that I'm
Mhm.
collecting. So I'm getting ready to move my things from it. I have them in separate credit unions and banks. But
Mhm.
I'm going to keep that $500 minimum on the
Yep.
average for the month so I don't have to pay.
Yeah, exactly. And you just take that off the top. It just, and you just know that that's your zero.
Which you've gone to another thing people don't do. They don't plan. They do
No,
business
no, there is no
plans,
plan.
but they don't do business planning. And I stressed that a lot when we were in class, because I was the first one talking to some of the groups. I said business plans is the easy part, because you just write stuff up and you can write anything and it looks good. I taught,
Yep.
like I said, I taught entrepreneurship and intro to business, and business plans were the things people wrote for some of those classes. Hey, this business plan looks beautiful and things of that nature. But when it comes to application and execution,
Whole nother ballgame.
sometimes it's an F, or sometimes that's a great plan, but that's your vision. A vision is something you get down the road. We got to stop at the mission of what you're
What are
going
the
to do right
starting
now.
points? What steps are you taking today to get
Exactly. And you can't shoot to the moon if you haven't even gotten the rocket gear and the rocket built.
there? Nope. Nope. And that's
Plan
the
now or pay
say
later.
later.
I've had people to start businesses that they sunk all their resources in, and Asha Maruya, who does the Lean Stack, says businesses fail not because they don't do what they set out to do. It's the fact that they use their resources to create the wrong business. Now, I'm paraphrasing. He says the wrong products, but basically they create the wrong
Right.
business.
Sure. Absolutely. And I mean, that was just such a great point. I mean, and I'm so appreciative of you coming in to be able to share some of this knowledge and stuff. We could go on for a couple hours, but we're not going to. But we could, because we're just seeing so much and we really want, we want to help. And this is the whole purpose of this. It's time to excel. It is time to excel because we have to inspire. We're going to ignite the possibilities. If you don't know what they are, we need to at least help guide some of that. And that's why I'm so blessed and honored to have such awesome people that are willing to give some time and come join me and just have some fun with it. And I look forward to continuing that connection. LaShon, is there a way that folks, if they've got some questions, they can actually reach out to you and connect with you? What's the best way to do that?
So for right now, because I'm not sure that everybody's going to see this, you can go to calendly.com /LAH, which are my initials, companies, and that's IES. And then just go there. You can set up a time to meet with me, and I can provide information. So that's calendly.com /LAH companies.com. I'm going to put
All right, I got it in the chat. It's going right there. And what I'm going to do here, make sure I get it right, is I'm also going to go drop it out up here, and that way everyone can see it as soon as my computer decides to cooperate. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Well, why did you not come up? There it is.
Oh, don't put the .com.
Nope. How about I spell it right? Let me go spell that right. Hold that thought. I just realized it didn't spell right. Hold on.
Yeah, it's just LAH companies without the .com at the end. But do know, I will do, 15 minutes for you all free. If you put in there that you came.
Oh, that is so sweet. Thank you.
So typically it costs, that site doesn't have the cost factor on there. Take the .com out. It's still
I did. Why did it not do that? I did. I actually took it out and edited. It didn't save it.
No, it didn't save it. We've been having fun with technology.
This has just been a battle and a half.
Well, but this is great because pay now, pay later.
Exactly. There we go.
It still doesn't have the C in there.
And I still don't have a C. What is going on here? Oh, stop it. See, this is the gremlins just having a fabulous time beating on me here today.
So just
save, go. 100th time did we
get
it?
There you go. Yeah.
Hallelujah.
but this is good because this also shows people how you start things. And even though you can put things in, the system doesn't put it in correctly. So this is why you always pay now, pay later.
Yeah.
Check your information. Mm-hmm. Revisit it periodically because you can have the best of intentions and it just doesn't really have help. And I like the fact that you have the diamond for the Excel with me because people need to remember what diamonds have to go through to become the beautiful, valuable piece it is. It's got to go through a purification process of fire. And it's multiple times it goes into the fire to be chipped to become that beautiful stone that you see. And chipping is not easy.
No.
So that I think that's greatness in Excel. If you want to shine brightly, you're going to have to go through the process of what it takes to do that. So, Janet, thank you for having me. And yes, we've got several topics we could all stay here forever to talk about.
Oh, we could.
We had an enjoyable time teaching, and so I'm glad, we got to meet through that endeavor. Anytime you want me to come on, any questions anybody has, I am the igniter. I'm the igniting collaborator. I help to ignite you, get you unstuck. That is our goal, whether you're a startup or existing business. Let's get unstuck together.
That's awesome. Please reach out. She's made an incredible offer. Take advantage of it. Now that I got it spelled right, go for it. Grab it, take full advantage, and just, take full advantage, inspire and ignite the possibilities that are around you, because after all, it's time for you to excel. Thank you so much, LaShon, once again. We'll see everyone. Take care.